I know I'm extremely late with this video, but better late than never. I'm not going off the US release dates, I'm going off Irish release dates. That's why Django Unchained will not be featuring in this video. If you want to know my quick thoughts on Django Unchained, I thought it was fucking great. Although, are you really that shocked that the guy with the big Pulp Fiction poster behind him liked the Tarantino flick? Here is my list of the top 10 best movies of 2012. This could have so easily been something that was designed to stop children screaming for 90 minutes, but the makers of this opted to make this more for the adults who remember their time watching the grisly and ghoulish treats that horror cinema had to offer. I could relate to Norman because I too had a love of horror cinema growing up. There's always been a lot of hullabaloo about how violence in the media somehow warps our perception and makes us violent and evil people. What's that, Ethel? I can't do that, Ethel. Okay, Ethel, I will obey thy command.
Who's that?
Who's on the phone? Some of these fucking telemarketers again. Why, if it is my rambunctious punk of a twin brother, how the devil are you? You're outside? Yeah, of course I'll let you in. Perchance may I ask, what is that you're holding in your left hand? And why is it suddenly cut to black? Well, I think I've just been stabbed. I wasn't sure the first time, but since you stabbed me now twice, I can confirm that I've in fact been stabbed, and now I'm dying. Well, that's just fucking great. Zippity fucking doodah. Hooray. First the bank repossesses my car, now this. Anyway, my one gripe with this was the fact it was released in 3D and the technology was not used. Think of all the cool and interesting things they could have done with it. Oh well, that's just one minor gripe. It didn't ruin the movie. I found this movie to be fun, frightening in places, and had extremely unique and memorable characters. I enjoyed the hell out of this. Happy, joy, joy, happy, joy, joy. Let's be honest, Family Guy lost its spark a long time ago. It seems all they're capable of doing now is stretching the running time of a joke that wasn't funny to begin with, in the misguided belief that this makes it funny somehow. It does not, it just becomes annoying. So when I saw the trailer and they had that joke with the redneck names, I thought, oh my fuck, this is going to be the humour for the entire movie. But nothing could be further from the truth. This was witty, it was crude, and shockingly sweet. Happy, joy, joy, happy, joy, joy, joy. Does not need to exist, because every motherfucker on the planet knows the origin of Spider-Man. But that's not to say this was a bad movie. It really wasn't. It was entertaining. It injected humour back into the character of Spider-Man, something that was sorely lacking from Sam Raimi's version. Also, the 3D was superb. It really made you feel as if you were web-slinging through New York with Spider-Man. Happy, joy, joy, happy, joy, joy, joy. I'm not really a fan of this franchise. I've never hated Bond or anything like that. I've just sort of been indifferent towards them. And the trailer didn't help matters as it made Skyfall look as bland as a thing would be very bland. Then the reviews came out for this, all of which were extremely positive, so I went along to see it and I'm glad that I did. Aside from it being a big, over-the-top action spectacle, it's also a character study of the relationship between Bond and M, which is this weird mother-son relationship. Also, I loved how the villain didn't have some sort of scheme to take over the world. He just wanted to make M pay for her wrongdoings towards him. Also, I noticed that some people were perplexed that this contained old school Bond imagery, and the reason for this is that it's the 50th anniversary of the franchise, and given that, I think it's apt that they tipped their hat to old school Bond. And actually, I think they melded the old campy style Bond with the colder edge Craig era stuff really, really well. Happy, joy, joy, happy, joy, joy, joy. I'll get into this later in the video, but I didn't care for the new Dredd movie. If you were to ask me prior to watching this what I think benchmark for action cinema was, I would have answered Die Hard. Now, it's The Raid. Happy, joy, joy, happy, joy, joy, joy. Final note of Batman flick was not universally well received by both fans and critics. My reason as to why this happened was that fan expectation was far too high. They were pissed that it was not nearly as good as its predecessor, The Dark Knight, and no one really should have expected this to scale the heights of awesomeness of that installment. I mean, it's one of the all-time great comic book movies with one of the all-time great villains in the Joker that was played to perfection by the late Heath Ledger, who had one of the best entrances for a villain I've ever seen.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear.
When I saw that in the cinema, everyone watching, myself included, was stunned into silence for about 30 seconds, and then there was uproarious laughter for a good 5 minutes. It's rare to ever experience that watching a movie. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of flaws with The Dark Knight Rises, but as a conclusion to Nolan's Batman movies, this was an entertaining watch. My favourite moments in this were Commissioner Gordon and Blake running around trying to stop the unholy shitstorm that Bane is unleashing on Gotham.
Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, joy.
In the beginning of this, we are introduced to a brand new couple called Chris and Tina.
When they met, it was murder.
If I were to be harsh on this, I would say that all of the deaths in this are so goddamn foreshadowed that whenever any of the victims of Chris or Tina appear on the screen, they should have played.
You are dead.
But, like I said, I would be being extremely harsh to say that about this movie, because all the deaths in this are so brutal and over the top that they're darkly comic. But that's not to say that this is a laugh out loud comedy or anything like it. No, when this movie needs to be creepy, it's extremely creepy and unsettling. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was funny when it needed to be funny, and scary when it needed to be scary.
Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, joy.
I'm not a Joss Whedon fan. Anytime I've watched either Buffy or Angel, it's smacked of, oh, look how smart, witty and clever I am! This time around, I found the humour in this to be brilliant. I thought the characters are great. I love the story. I also loved how the sciencey people controlling the cabin are manipulating the people in there to act like the stereotypical people we've seen in horror films so that they might sacrifice them to a world-destroying god. I also really enjoyed the final third, which is some of the best carnage I've seen in a long time. Will this make me change my stance on Joss Whedon's previous work?
Oh, hell no.
Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, joy.
I was not looking forward to seeing this. I thought that they would dispense with the old style puppets and CGI the Muppets, because as we all know, everything is improved with CG. I was doubly fearful because I thought that they would try and modernise them and have them spew modern pop culture references, but thankfully this was not the case. This also contained one of the most awesome moments in years. And if you need me to explain why that scene is awesome, I can't, because the English language, as expressive as it is, simply does not have the words to describe it. And it contains one of the best original songs.
I'm Texas rich man, Mr. Texas Steve. People call me rich cause I got more money. I got more cheddar than some supersized nachos. Got cash flow like Robert has De Niro's.
And much like a modern episode of Family Guy, I'm stretching this shit out far longer than it needs to be by including a recap of the flicks that took up positions number 10 through 2. A zombie movie that kids will like but adults will love. A rude, crude and shockingly sweet-natured comedy from Seth MacFarlane that proves he can still bring the funny. Even though I know the origin of Spider-Man, this is still an entertaining watch, which more than made up for the soul-crushingly dull Raimi versions. A Bond movie I liked? That shit's rarer than hen's teeth. A movie that kicked ass and kicked my ass from the opening to the ending credits. A fitting end to what I believe can now be considered one of the all-time great superhero trilogies. Chris and Tina go about the English countryside murdering people in this darkly comic and creepy watch. This plays with the conventions of the genre we're all used to seeing, and I had an extremely entertaining time watching. Kerman and Co. returned in one of the most heartwarming movies I've seen in many a year, that introduced the characters to a new generation, yet at the same time it reminded older watchers why they fell in love with these characters in the first place. Well, enough stalling, here it is. Here is what I thought was the best movie of last year.
Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy.
This is about one man's willingness to survive at all costs. Throw in a meditation about the nature of what makes people believe in religion, and you have the best movie I've seen all year. I'm aware that some people will probably find this pretentious and maybe a little bit simplistic, but I didn't. I genuinely fell in love with this movie. I like the story, I like the characters, I like the world. Oh, and it looks gorgeous. And the 3D in this movie is sublime. It is the best use of the technology I've ever seen. When I went to see Avatar, this was the kind of movie that I wanted to see. A movie that has stunning stereoscopy, yet at the same time has a story that I could really sink my teeth into. Since Turnabout is fair play, I thought I would talk about the 10 movies that made blood gush from every orifice it's possible for it to leak from. Here are my picks for the top 10 worst movies of 2012.
Fucking nerd right!
Hey, do so much right now!
If you're puzzled as to why I didn't like this, trust me, I'm just as puzzled as you are. I should have loved it. It's about a bunch of creatures from a different dimension that are brought to our world by Loki, the god of trickery, so that they can do battle with a bunch of Marvel superheroes. Yet I sat there the whole time thinking, why am I liking this? This should be something that's right up my alley. What the fuck is going on? Why can't I get into this? I'm sure you all have similar examples of movies that you know you should have loved, but for whatever reason you couldn't get into them. I'm sure if I watched this again I'd probably enjoy it, but from where things stand now, I couldn't get into this movie, and I really don't know why.
I hate you so much right now!
The poster of this boldly proclaimed that justice was coming. Justice may have been coming, but a good movie wasn't packaged with it. I get the appeal of this. I really do. I can see why people enjoyed watching Dredd shooting motherfuckers in the face for 90 minutes. And that was the main problem I had with this movie. It was just Dredd running around shooting people in the head for 90 plus minutes. After anonymous douchebag number 4433 got shot in the head, I was bored to horrible tears. For me to get involved in any movie, I need to care about the characters. I know this is trying to be a mindless action flick, so I wasn't expecting deep and complex characters, but I needed something. Anything to latch on to, and Dredd just simply didn't give me that. Now, I will fully admit that the 3D in this movie was extremely well done. It was interesting, but extremely well done and interesting 3D is not enough.
I hate you so much right now!
In this we follow a young mother who gets caught planting a bomb in the London Underground. She is told that if she helps the British Secret Service she can stay out of jail and raise her son. Or some other bullshit. I didn't really care what happened to the bint in this movie. I'd have much rather watched a pair of polka dot socks drying. Drama, you're doing it wrong.
I hate you so much right now!
In this movie there is a scene when a bunch of smugglers are hanging out the back of a car. They are clutching an illicit package which they're trying to get back into the car because that's what they're smuggling into America. All the while they are trying not to get caught by the security staff of the boat that they are working on. They couldn't have made this so boring by accident. You actually have to put effort into making a scene that should have been exciting that fucking boring. This movie was about as much fun as getting booted in the balls for 24 hours without a break. I'm sure that the Icelandic movie that this was based on was a lot better. I've no reason to doubt it, but I will never see it. You know why? Because if I ever watched it, all that I'll be reminded of is the snooze fest that the American remake was.
I hate you so much right now!
You uncultured swine. This is a movie based upon a Shakespeare play. The Bard, the single greatest storyteller ever, which automatically makes it. And it's those same people who think everything that's connected to Shakespeare is automatically awesome. This is a shit movie. It also stars Shouty McShouderpants Gerard Butler, who, for all intents and purposes, is just playing.
This is Sparta!
Only he's speaking in Shakespearean dialogue. I bet a large chunk of those motherfuckers who gave him great reviews for this movie also panned him for starring in movies like 300 and The Bounty Hunter. Well, guess what? He is shit in this movie. He was shit in those movies too. He's a shit actor. This is a shit film. It was fucking god fuckity awful.
I hate you so much right now!
This is on here for how it ends. This movie was so grounded in reality that when I saw Jake Gyllenhaal getting shot to shit and fucking surviving at the end, it pissed me the fuck off. Granted, I'm no medical expert, but I'm pretty sure that getting jackhammered across the room by high-powered weapons would kill a motherfucker. Yet, I know it's only 10 minutes at the end of the movie. It pissed me off that much that it sullied what up until that point had been a fantastic cop thriller.
I hate you so much right now!
I get why this was made. Steven Soderbergh wanted to make a movie that was born with breasticles, which he succeeded in doing. Too bad he made a movie that can lick the shit ring on my toilet. This movie was dull. By the end, all the fights were indistinguishable from one another. And the songs. Did I say songs? I meant to say song. They play exactly one song on a loop for the entire fucking running time of this movie. I was driven so fucking demented by that one song they play in this that I was really close to ripping my fucking ears off with my bare hands to make the fucking music in this movie stop. This movie was fucking bollocks.
Adam Sandler is Jack. Adam Sandler is Jill.
Oh, Matt and Trey, you comic geniuses, you. What a spot-on piss take of the shit that Adam Sandler makes. But there's no way this flick could possibly be real.
No,
you're getting fatter and your hair doesn't realize it needs to cover more face.
Now, I hate you so much right now.
This is a thing. This should not be a thing. This should not be a real movie. It's Adam fucking Sandler in fucking drag. This should only exist in the deepest, darkest realms of my nightmares. This should not be a real movie that made real money. It also hurts my head to know that Al Pacino agreed to star in this. How big are your gambling debts, Al? You know what? You've now officially given away your right to be considered a real actor, although many people would argue you did that many moons ago. If you want a sign that Western civilization is crumbling, you can point to Jack and Jill.
Engage in hyperbole much?
I hate you so much right now.
So we have a movie written by the Coen brothers, two of the most talented screenplay writers currently working in Hollywood, with a cast that features Alan Rickman and Colin Firth, two pretty fine actors. How in the name of fuck you mess that shit up? Oh, they managed it. All of the actors look thoroughly embarrassed to be in this picture, and really, can you fucking blame them? They are in a movie who thinks that it is so funny when a motherfucker loses his pants that they double down upon it and they fucking repeat it. Also, it's racist. I know that's a highly charged term that gets thrown around far too easily nowadays, and believe me, I don't use it lightly. However, there's no other word I can use to describe this movie. It's just fucking racist. The moment where I lost my fudge with the racial stereotypes is when the Asian businessmen walked in. They were just fucking shy of saying,
Me like how the fly lice.
This was crass, witless, and in case you've got a really terrible memory, here's a recap of the movies that took up positions number 10 through 2. This was tailor-made for me to think was pure win, but ended up being something I disliked. I really don't know what else to tell you. This was nothing but dread shooting motherfuckers in the head for 90 minutes. And that was the problem I had with this. It was just dread shooting motherfuckers in the head for 90 minutes. It didn't need to be this fucking boring. I didn't like how it was focused in one location for the majority of it. I wish it had followed Dredd and his new rookie trying to clean up the streets of Mega City 1. What a dull movie about an extremely interesting time in Irish history. When I don't care about the mother at the centre of this, you have failed in making a fucking dramatic movie. This story about smugglers trying to get goods into America could have been interesting. Instead, I got a flick which was duller than something that is dull. Though, I will commend the makers of this for creating a surefire cure for insomnia. It's Shakespeare, so it has to be awesome. In some cases I'll agree with you, but this is not one of those times. I was confused by what was happening in this. You could say that it's because I wasn't smart enough to follow this, which could be true. I don't know. All I know is that this sucked big old round fucking donkey balls. A bigger fuck you ending I've not experienced in a long time. Steven Soderbergh's attempt to make a Jason Bourne style movie with a female protagonist could have been great. Instead, what we got was a fucking dull movie, which repeated the same fight. Don't get me started on the fucking goddamn soundtrack in this piece of fucking horseshit. This should have only fucking existed in the joke in that episode of South Park. But unfortunately, this was a real fucking movie that people went to fucking see. If this hadn't been a comedy but had been a psychological horror film in which Jill only exists in the mind of Jack and she is telling him to kill people, and the entire movie is Jack trying to block her out because he doesn't want to kill people, this could have worked. But instead, what we got was one of the worst comedies I've seen in a long time. Only reason this is higher than Jack and Jill is because Adam Sandler is one of the biggest fucking hacks currently working in comedy, so I wasn't really expecting all that much from him, though Happy Gilmore is great. This, on the other hand, had genuinely talented people behind it. It was written by the Coen brothers, for fuck's sake, who have made some of the best movies in recent years. It also starred Alan Rickman, and it also starred Colin Firth. What made them think that this piece of fucking shit was good? I am guessing that the people behind this are compromising pictures of them. I don't know. All I know is that if I was given a choice between having testicle surgery from a surgeon with Parkinson's disease who is using a scalpel that is covered in rust to conduct said medical procedure, and no anaesthetic is available, or I had to rewatch this movie, do you know what I'd say? Bring on the fucking testicle surgery. What could be worse than fucking Gambit? Well, you're about to find out. Here is the movie that I believe was the worst film of 2012.
I hate you so much right now.
I adored the first 3 movies. I thought that they built a sense of menace and dread masterfully. And this installment, sweet chocolate covered Jesus, what a god awful piece of fucking shit it turned out to be. Why was this such an unmitigated disaster? Oh, there are like a million billion fucking reasons. One of these reasons is the delusional fucking parents the teenage girl we follow in this movie has. A little healthy skepticism is good, but the parents in this are delusional fuckcakes. If half of the shit that happened to them happened to me, I wouldn't be denying it. I'd be saying, oh fuck, grab the holy water, grab the crucifix, we're sending that fucking demon back to whatever circle of hell he came from. And there's that teeny weeny tiny fact of half of this footage couldn't fucking exist because it's recorded on webcams, HD webcams no less, for 24 hours a day for 2 weeks, and anybody who's ever recorded using HD will know that the files tend to be kind of big, and no hard drive in the goddamn world is big enough to store the amount of footage these fuck puppets fucking record in this movie. So when you can't believe that in a found footage movie the footage could conceivably exist, it falls a fucking apart. And also, this rips off from much better fucking horror films, which, in a horror film as shit as this, you don't fucking do, because all you're thinking of is, oh my fuck, why am I watching the movie that this scene is lifted from? And with that, this concludes my look at the worst movies of 2012. So long and good night!
Me like how the flies lice.